Hello, everyone. Oh, sorry, go on.
You go on, you say hello
That's right.
first. Say hello. Say hello, subs.
Hello, subs. It's me in the background.
Hello, everybody.
In case we didn't know who you were.
Happy Boxmas Day.
Boxmas.
Boxmas. And if you're new and you've just come to this because we're going to be talking about Kevin Spacey, welcome to our channel. Subscribe and hit the notification bell because this channel delivers so much different content that we think it's pretty damn fan. Oh,
fine.
Pretty damn fan.
Yeah, we're homing in on this Kevin Spacey story. It's kind of part of our, we often, and well, sometimes do showbiz content. We're going to do a lot more in the new year where we sort of take a slightly piss-takey slant on the stories that are making the showbiz headlines. But this one sort of has unfolded over the Christmas period, and it comes off the back of us all kind of asking, having once been huge Kevin Spacey fans, all of us, I mean, real Kevin Spacey
loved
fans.
House of Cards, loved other movies, early movies he's done, loved the old Vic.
Absolutely. What was that recent one he was in with the car driver?
Baby Driver, brilliant.
The Usual Suspects, all that sort of stuff. Anyway, American Beauty.
And we haven't seen this film yet because obviously he posted it on Christmas Day. So we just want to take...
Or the day before, it might be the day before. It might be a day, it's in the last 48 hours. It's a bit loose.
It's very unusual for us. We would have usually seen something like this straight off, but we've been busy with Christmas. So we just want to have a look at it and see what all the fuss is.
Two things to mention. In the space of the last 48 hours, this film of Kevin Spacey has landed making some kind of an address. But there's also been the formal charging of him in Massachusetts of the alleged sort of buying drinks for a young adult male who was 18 at the time. Obviously, you can only drink over 21. But charges have been brought against Kevin Spacey in that instance. And I believe that no formal charges have been brought against him anywhere else. So is there
not for that original...
Not for none of the other ones. I think investigations are ongoing, but nothing formal has actually happened. Because we've been asking, what's happened to him? Where is he? And then, very bizarrely, I've only seen the headlines. I've seen images of him in a Santa apron in his kitchen, looking very much like Frank, whatever his name is, from House of Cards. So should we check it out?
Yeah, let's see it.
So here we go.
How long is it?
3 minutes.
Let me be frank.
He's doing that thing you say, stuff. Business.
Yeah.
I know what you want. Oh, sure, they may have tried to separate us, but what we have is too strong, it's too powerful. I mean, after all, we shared everything, you and I. I told you my deepest, darkest secrets. I showed you exactly what people are capable of. I shocked you with my honesty, but mostly I challenged you and made you think. And you trusted me, even though you knew you shouldn't.
Oh my God.
So we're not done, no matter what anyone says. And besides, I know what you want. You want me back. Of course, some believed everything and have just been waiting with bated breath to hear me confess it all. They're just dying to have me declare that everything said is true and that I got what I deserved.
God.
Wouldn't that be easy if it was all so simple? Only you and I both know it's never that simple, not in politics and not in life. But you wouldn't believe the worst without evidence, would you? You wouldn't rush to judgments without facts, would you? Did you? No, not you. You're smarter than that. Anyway, all this presumption made for such an unsatisfying ending. And to think it could have been such a memorable send-off. I mean, if you and I have learned nothing else these past years, it's that in life and art, nothing should be off the table. We weren't afraid, not of what we said and not of what we did, and we're still not afraid. Because I can promise you this. If I didn't pay the price for the things we both know I did do, I'm certainly not going to pay the price for the things I didn't do. Oh, of course, they're going to say I'm being disrespectful, not playing by the rules, like I ever played by anyone's rules before. I never did, and you loved it.
So you
Anyhow, despite all the poppycock, the animosity, the headlines, the impeachment without a trial, despite everything, despite even my own death, I feel surprisingly good. And my confidence grows each day that soon enough you will know the full truth.
Oh my God.
True.
Well, wait a minute. Now that I think of it, you never actually saw me die, did you?
Oh my God.
Conclusions can be so deceiving.
Wow.
Miss me?
Oh my God, that's such a head fuck.
The music at the end.
Right, okay,
Right,
so
there's
this is
definite-
fascinating. This is totally and utterly fascinating.
I don't think
to
I've
me.
ever known of anything like this happening in the history of Hollywood or show business.
So either he needs to be put into an ambulance and rushed to a facility,
Yep.
or we need to consider
That he's
all
sup-
the different options that have gone on here.
Exactly. Well, I totally agree. He's either completely lost the plot,
Yeah.
and is just prowling around his home under almost semi-house arrest, desperate to not only act, but there's a veiled threat throughout all of that. He's
No, but
threatening.
it's
His
so
character is
complicated
threatening.
because, of course, that's his character
That's his
as
character.
Frank in House of Cards. So it's so okay. If there is still any chance of him going to court, I think he's truly lost his mind to do something like this, because it's a well-known fact that actors do very badly in court.
Well, he's been
even
charged,
if you
so he will have to
use
go
an
to court.
actor as a witness. You know, just people don't, in general, believe them, even if they're all absolutely terrible.
Yeah, yeah.
But the jury tends to disbelieve actors. If the allegations are true and he has done what people have alleged that he's done, this is the most horrific thing for a victim to watch, because it's almost goading and there's a
Provocative.
cruelty
There's
to
a
it and a
provocative-
provocativeness to it. If it's not, and he hasn't done anything, this is sort of the rage of the art, using his artistry, because
Yes.
he's a
Yeah.
brilliant actor,
Yes.
Yeah.
to get across to us the injustice that he's
Yes,
feeling.
He's clearly
But
furious.
which one is it?
Well, he's clearly furious. What do you think, Mum?
Well, the fury in that sort of in all of it, but that particular bit where he says, if I'm not going to be accused of doing things that I have done, certainly not going to be accused of things that I haven't done. The fury in that one sentence is just amazing.
And him putting on the ring, which again is...
Yeah.
He's flipping between his real life and the
No,
character.
absolutely. But putting
Yeah,
back
yeah.
on the presidential ring and not having seen him die is clearly a swipe at Netflix
Yeah.
for perhaps...
Not
And
supporting
he's clearly suggesting you've all made these decisions based upon accusations at this stage.
Yeah.
I do think
Wow.
this recent charge complicates things, because I do think that means the
Has
difference
this been
with this...
watched by millions?
This has been watched by over 7 million.
And how many people have liked
Well,
it
the
and
really weird thing about it is that there's a far larger majority of people have liked this film.
have agreed with him?
Well, does that mean that? They've liked it? Some people have said this, which I thought was really funny. They've said it's one of those rare occasions on YouTube. I wish there wasn't just a like button and an unlike button, but there was a what the fuck button, because
Yeah.
it sits right. Why?
It's interesting because...
What do you think?
Yeah, go on.
Well, I don't know what I think, but there has been a sort of growing. I felt it in the sort of stuff that I read in that a growing sort of not respect for Kevin Spacey. Well, certainly the acknowledgement that he is a great actor,
Right.
always was,
Yeah.
and there is nobody who's taken his place. And there's this sort of idea that. Well, do we know exactly what he did? And we're just not, none of us are benefiting from ever seeing him again.
No.
With no proof of anything, and it means that he's out of our lives.
Let me give you what my theory on
Because-
the whole thing is. Let me give you my theory on the whole thing. My theory on it is this, and this isn't to say that he hasn't done anything. This is
No.
not what I'm saying.
No.
My theory on this is that in his head, he believes that his legal counsel have absolutely given him the cast iron assurance that he will not be found guilty, or that any of the accusations will have any sort of, merit to them, and they won't be proven, and they won't go to court, and
Because
he won't be
there's
found
not enough
guilty
evidence.
because there's not enough evidence. So I
Right.
think there's an element of that. There may also be, and within that, I think he's not spoken or said anything in public for almost 2 years? Is
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
If this was a man who was railing against the system in a sort of irrational and uncontrolled
Yeah,
manner,
that's very
we'd have been
true.
hearing all sorts of stuff coming out from him, I'd have thought,
Yeah.
across time.
Yeah.
But this feels like this is built to a moment. But it is complicated by this recent charge.
I think I think the fact that a lot of people, because I just notice at work how many people come in and say, oh, this disgusting thing that's happened to Kevin Spacey. And I'm always, I never say anything because I still don't know. There hasn't been a trial. I don't know whether the people that have alleged what he's done are telling the truth or whether in fact everyone's cast him as guilty and you know, before proven innocent. I don't know, but what worries me at the moment is there is a weariness to #MeToo, and so people are tending to fall on the other side of going, oh well, all these people just want to accuse people and da da da, and all it takes is for somebody to say that something's happened to them, and all these other people come forward, which is I think what you kind of feel, isn't it, Ty?
It is. And I mean, okay, he was director of the Old Vic here. For I don't know how long was it?
Quite a few years. Yeah, it was about 6 or 8 years. Yeah.
And I don't know the sort of history of all the sort of the allegations that came out afterwards, but they all came in a rush at the end. I mean, why wouldn't there have been things going on for, you know, or accusations?
But you've talked about that at times.
Well, I mean, I don't know if I told you about this, Dot. You know about it, Mark, don't you? I was basically groomed for a year and a half by a massive record producer. I totally believed that he was my friend. He was this older guy, very famous guy, and all turned a bit thoroughly unpleasant one night in his flat where I thought I'd gone to meet his wife and his family, and he showed me the photograph of them up on the wall. Yeah. And then I realised, oh shit. Yeah. Anyway, he pounced on me. I didn't tell anyone I told my sisters, but I didn't tell anyone else for years. I felt so ashamed. I felt really, really stupid because I thought, imagine if I said this, I go, oh, what, the record producer? Oh, what, the guy that knew all these bands? It would look like, as a 17-year-old girl, that I had wanted, so I never said anything to anyone. Now, at 54, I think if his name came up, and people came forward and said what he'd done to me I would go forward.
Who is he?
Well, I can't say, can I? But that is what the police say, is that people then get the strength to, but you know what, even if I did go to the police, say this guy's name came up and I went to the police would say, the first thing they'd say to me, oh, well, where was this flat? I don't know. I can't remember. It's one of those posh squares. What date was it? I don't know. What time was it? I don't know. I know that I'd been usherating that night theatre. I know we went to a restaurant and then we went back, but I don't know the name of the restaurant and how quickly it would all crumble. The police say part of why they do this go fishing where they put the name out is because what happens, these people come forward and then they just record, they've got a similar story. You know, so, oh, did he groom you in the same way, and then you went for dinner, then he took you back to see his family.
Yeah, they don't necessarily look for specifics, they look for sort of the same behaviour.
So I think that this is what, and often these accusations have become beforehand. But what happens is the police have to gather enough people and then it comes out. And that's what I worry about, is that we tend to go, well, they're obviously after some money and it's all because they're famous. There's no easy bloody answer for
this.
Well,
the problem is, and this is the terrible thing about most things in life, it's probably a bit of all of those things.
Yeah.
Maybe.
You know, and you know, it could well be that, you know, some of these accusations are absolutely sticking, even though he believes that they're false and they're not right, and that perhaps they were more consensual than is being suggested.
Well, there's always that.
But there's also the fact that he's clearly a very strong man. He's obviously a very domineering man. You don't get to where he's got to without some kind of, you know, whatever heft, for want of a better expression, behind you. And you could read that as a very sort of provocative way of saying, holding people at arm's length and saying, I am unaffected by this.
Or saying, do your worst.
Or do you? Well, it's interesting that it's called Let Me Be Frank.
Yeah.
Which is very clever, because he's saying, let me be frank with you, but he's also, let me be Frank, the character.
But
I just think he's playing a really dangerous game.
Yes, but that's why I think, to go back to your original point, Mark, that he knows something that we don't know, which is that his legal, and let's face it, he'll have the best in the world.
I'd have thought so.
Know that he can't be done for these things. I don't think he would.
But just because his legal counsel can give him that guarantee, here's the other problem. His legal counsel might be giving him that guarantee, and he might know in his soul of souls that he's absolutely fine. But how do we know? This is the problem with this stuff. How do we know that he's not guilty of doing any of these things?
Yeah. Imagine
If he is,
what he's been accused of doing, he's
anyone.
done, and one of his victims
Watch that.
is sat watching that. How chilling, how petrifying. But if he hasn't done anything,
the poor man
is showing us his rage and the injustice that he feels.
In the only way he
oh
can,
my
which is
God.
in his good acting.
Yeah,
actually.
no, but that's
oh
why
my
it's a
God!
kind of-
It's totally
Yeah.
incredible showbiz.
But this is one
the
of-
most unbelievable
It
showbiz
is.
story of all showbiz stories.
It's the most unbelievable showbiz story of the year because it reeks of all. Do you remember that book Hollywood Babylon when you'd hear these
Yes.
stories
Yeah,
of
yeah,
remarkable
yeah.
stories? This is one of those where you're thinking, hang on a minute. This remarkably huge story in the time of, what was the name of the producer? Weinstein, Harvey
Yeah.
Weinstein.
That's-
This is, he's gone on record, he's recorded this message that's clearly a veiled sort of threat,
But
stroke
he's totally
defense.
covered because he can say, I was just in my character.
What do you make of it, guys?
Oh,
What,
please,
tell
because
us,
I'm
what
really confused.
do you make of it?
Leave
Yeah.
loads of comments below. Tell us what's your theory on
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Bizarre.
fascinating.
Yeah.
It's bizarre.
It's bizarre, and it's hugely risky. I think
Hugely
it's taken
risky.
a huge risk.
And I do sometimes have a go at you, don't I, Mum? Because I know that you often say things like, Roman Polanski was accused, he had underage sex with that girl. And, I do worry sometimes that we can find ways of forgiving people who have a real publicly celebrated skill or a craft.
And also, I mean, the
And that
most
we
famous
kind of excuse them and sort of say, well,
And the most famous expression that comes then is, it was a different time.
Yeah,
it was
absolutely.
a different time. And for my generation, a lot of the things that happen today, we would not deem it.
Absolutely.
yeah,
And that's why so
absolutely.
many people think. But I do think it's up to us looking to the future. Like, people will say things like, well, I mean,
Back
so
then.
what? You put a hand on her leg? Was that really that bad? Well, if my daughter came in and said to me, somebody had put their hand on their leg in a way that they didn't want them to put their hand on their leg, that'd be enough for me to want to drag them down the street by their hair and throw them in the ditch. So, what is your...
Where are your gradations?
Where are your
Yeah.
gradations? For me, inappropriate behaviour is inappropriate behaviour.
Yeah, it is. It is. But
But you quite enjoyed it. He's a remarkable actor.
he is.
I mean, that
He
was...
certainly is, and he's used his craft in that, but I don't know whether it could bring him down.
Wow, I don't know what he's going to do.
Fascinating.
Fascinating.
Utterly fascinating.
Also, to be in that, we've got the actor side of him, but this sort of relationship he had at the Old Vic, where he was responsible for hiring and firing people, there would have been people queuing up to get to see him, basically, almost
Right.
at any cost, I would imagine.
So
and young men,
right? Yeah.
I mean, where is the thing between? I'm not saying that he couldn't be delusional. Of course, he could
Yeah,
be
of
delusional
course, yeah.
himself and say, well, to himself, well, I wasn't doing anything wrong, but this boy almost
Threw himself at me.
Threw himself at me, and there would have been lots that did. So I mean,
Yeah.
how can you?
Yeah. It is hard.
Well, I mean, he could be guilty, but not think he's guilty at
no,
all.
Yeah,
So what is
absolutely.
guilt? What is
Yeah,
guilt? Is it
yeah.
the intention?
Well, and what is-
I am doing something wrong. He might think that he never did anything wrong.
No.
His boys came up to him. He could be thinking
Yeah.
they wanted a part in the play. They wanted a part in,
Yeah.
it
They
was,
knew
it
the
was
transaction.
The whole theatrical sort of business.
Yeah.
Very powerful position. Yeah.
Very tricky and very odd. Really want to know what you think, though, guys. Really want to know what you
And
think.
you know what? Imagine if one of the victims is even watching this now. If it really did happen and you really are, this must be so horrendous for you to
Yeah.
watch this film.
Yeah.
You know what? And Kevin, if you're watching and you never did the thing wrong, our heart goes out to you because we certainly felt your rage.
Yeah.
Bloody hell.